Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And as promised and as some of you guys have requested, here I am today with the latest Android TV boxes from Beelink, and in this particular case the A1 and GS1. Now with no further ado, let's take a closer look at both of them. And this video is sponsored by NordVPN, a VPN service available for almost any platform with servers in 56 countries at an affordable price. Check out the link below for more details. And we are back. So starting as always with a very quick unboxing experience. Guys, as you can see on screen really quickly, I'll give you a few images on the A1 and also on the GS1. And what I can say is that both of them come in a nice but simple packaging with the common accessories and so on and so forth. Now moving on to the connectivity, once again as usual, a few seconds on the A1 and a few seconds on the GS1. Now what I can say there in terms of connectivity, the only difference here is that the GS1 has a optical audio output while the A1 doesn't. Now moving on to the design and build quality, they are two small devices, and personally I really like small Android TV boxes, especially the A1, which fits in my hand. The GS1 reminds me of the GT1 and GT1 Ultimate in terms of size, in terms of build quality. It's different. I still prefer the design of the GT1, especially the top cover. It looks like fiber carbon on the top, but this is something really subjective. So in terms of design, it's very personal. I would prefer the A1. In terms of build quality, they are balanced. They are medium ranged boxes, so I can't expect more than this. Now in terms of specifications, the A1 is using the Rockchip 3328, 4 GB of RAM, 16 GB of flash storage with Android 7.1.2, while the GS1 is running the All-Winner H6 with 2 GB of RAM and 16 GB of flash storage with Android 7.1. Now that being said, moving on to some benchmarks, I will give you guys a few images there regarding the A1. I would like to mention that some apps were not be possible to install, like the disk speed test, Geekbench, so I only have a few there. The network, nice speeds, Antutu, 3D Mark as well, and then nothing else over there. Moving on to the GS1, I believe that I did install everything and the results are over there, so no point in repeating myself. You can just pause and read. Now in terms of the remote control included, which I don't have it right over here, it's on the other desk right over there. Sorry about that. I would just like to mention something, guys. Forget about infrared remote controls. There are a lot of wireless remotes that will give us a great experience. I've done a video in the past. I will leave a link down below, so just check it out and forget about any infrared remote from any brand at all, not only from Beelink. Moving on to the launcher, what I can say is that they are both the same. This launcher, we have seen it many times before, so it's not new here on the channel, and you guys have seen it also. So moving on, in terms of online updates, both machines have, but at this moment only the A1 had online updates available, but both of them will require more firmware updates, as we will see in just a few seconds. Now one of the things that I would like to mention right now is that using these two machines for the past few days and talking about firmware and the 4 GB of RAM, especially on the A1, is that to share with you guys that some heavier apps will be stuck on the A1, and hopefully you can see on screen it happened with a few apps, 3D Mark Score, sometimes YouTube and so on and so forth. So there are some things that need to be optimized on the firmware, which is more important than the 4 GB of RAM that are on this little box. Now moving on and leaving away the benchmarks and specifications and so on and so forth, let's start with the tests, and starting with the A1. First of all, it will display up to 4K in terms of resolution at 50 Hz. In terms of Netflix, the maximum is SD quality of 480, and by the way, I did notice that on the Beelink forum there is a kind of modified Netflix app for some machines, but I will be back in a few days or so to test out and check out if we can get higher resolution or not. Now, moving on, in terms of YouTube, we will get 1440p using the tablet version and also the TV version on this particular box. Next, I did test out with my IPTV service from my ISP provider, which worked fine on the A1. Kodi was the next test that I made, and playing all my files, I was able to play 4K, 10-bit, 8-bit video files without any problems. Just occasionally I had a few stutters here and there, especially on 4K. Nothing really serious, but if we are watching a movie at 4K, it's a bit annoying, so this is something that they need to fix on Kodi. By the way, I'm using Kodi 17.6 at this moment, just for reference. Next, I did check out Plex, played just fine. Blu-ray movies, MKV 1080. Skype was another test, which is, by the way, the first time that I'm testing on an Android TV box review the Skype app with a webcam, which worked just fine on the A1, as you guys are watching on screen. And this because my last video was compatibility between webcam and Android TV boxes, and as I promised, this is now a standard test here on the channel. Now, moving on to Airplay, I was able to stream from my MacBook with high bitrate files without any issues at all. And then in terms of gaming, the A1, it's not the box to choose, at least for now, because I'm not sure if it's the, well, it's the firmware, because the SoC should be able to play this kind of game. And as you guys can see, in Asphalt 8 I can't load the game, and then on Asphalt Extreme the same situation happens. So this is something on the firmware. I believe that I've tested devices in the past with this same SoC, and although it's not a really high performance SoC, it's low end, it was able to play even on lower resolution these games, and here I can't. The only game that I was able to play on the A1 from those that I tested, of course, was Respawnables. There we got some good results, but that was about it. And then lastly, in terms of game streaming, which is something that I love, unfortunately this machine is not able to use game stream. I did try everything, but as you guys can see, always connection terminated, and that was the problem that I had. So here's once again a firmware situation that needs to be fixed on the A1. Now, moving to the GS1, in terms of resolution, it will go up to 4K at 60 Hz, Netflix up to SD. In terms of YouTube, in the web version of the app, we will have 1440p in terms of resolution, and on the TV app only 1080. Now, moving to the Notch TV, which is my ISP provider IPTV service, on the GS1 I was not able to use it because it refused to play, and that was about it. There's nothing I can do. Only Beelink can fix the firmware so that we can use it for that. Now, in terms of Kodi, for 1080 everything was okay, everything was smooth, but in terms of 4K I had some bad results, and you guys will see on screen, especially on H.265 4K 10-bit videos, it was really jerky and not enjoyable at all. So here's something that Beelink really needs to fix in terms of Kodi playback. Now, in Plex everything was smooth, 1080, H.264 Blu-ray movies. Skype was all okay as well with the Logitech webcam. Airplay once again worked great. Gaming, I was able to play Asphalt 8 and Asphalt Extreme, so no worries here. In terms of game stream, not so good. I did try with 1080 60 frames per second. As you guys can see right over there, there's a lot of lag. I was able to connect, fortunately, unlike the A1, but it was unplayable. I did lower the resolution to 720 at 30 Hz, but even like that, or 30 frames per second, sorry, and even like that, it wasn't possible to play. There was a lot of delay. Now, I did check out the lag that we have, and we have about 40 milliseconds between the computer and the box, so that would be completely acceptable, which makes me think that this is once again a firmware issue. So bottom line, at this moment, the game stream experience is something to avoid on both these machines. So in conclusion, guys, what I can say is that these are two interesting devices, but as you guys could see at this moment, Beelink really needs to improve their firmware to fix a lot of situations. Now, for those that will use these devices which are targeted at video playback at 1080, you will be just fine. In terms of ISP, IPTV in here at least in Portugal, I would not advise at this moment the GS1, because as we saw, it doesn't work at this moment, and the same happens with GameStream for these two devices. For everything else, they are in the low mid range in terms of boxes. So this is the conclusion that we can take. Interesting for those of you that will use just for Skype and video playback and so on. If you are a more intensive user, either you will have to wait for Beelink to fix these two devices, or the GT1, which was the machine that I did choose for 2017 in terms of budget box, which honestly I still prefer the GT1 against these two new ones, and because the performance is completely different and it's compatible with everything that we saw in terms of GameStream and so on and so forth. And I'm talking about the GT1 with Android 6, because with Android 7 there are a few issues over there. And that is it, guys. Hopefully this video was helpful in some way, and if it was, don't forget that usual thumbs up. My name is Roberto, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.